I think that this was a very good compromise.
And Cedar Rapids city leaders hope FEMA agrees that this spot in Ellis Park is the right site for building a replacement for the Time Check Recreation Center. Well, after 2.5 years, the group with the task of finding a spot for the new recreation center hopes it finally has got it. The search committee selected a spot on the eastern edge of Ellis Park. Right now, 2 Parks and Recreation Department maintenance buildings sit there. If there's a problem, the committee will immediately switch to a second recommendation right behind Harrison Elementary School. FEMA is paying almost $3 million to replace the Time Check Rec Center that the 2008 flood destroyed, and the city hoped to build a new center near its original location on Ellis Boulevard, but FEMA then said no. Well, then the site committee proposed building in Cleveland Park near the Veterans Memorial Stadiums, right there at Cleveland Park, but the neighborhood strongly opposed that. So now it is Ellis Park. And KCRG TV9's Dave Franzman joins us live now from that area to explain that choice.
The site back then was actually elsewhere in the park, right? In fact, in the middle of the park. But that was something that has been avoided this time. The area that we're talking about that you see behind us here, that's right next to the Time Check neighborhood. And in fact, the maintenance buildings that you see back there are actually so old they were due for replacement in a few years anyway.
The selection committee faces a real deadline. FEMA is willing to pay nearly $3 million to replace the flood-damaged Time Check Rec Center, but the city must get the application in by April 1st. But one resident reminded members of others who are waiting.
We've been at this for almost 5 years. The kids need someplace to go.
With time running out, members chose this spot off Ellis Lane next to the softball fields and near Ellis Pool. It will cost at least $500,000 to demolish the buildings and another $800,000 to construct new ones. But the site committee learned the buildings were due for replacement in just a few years anyway. And if this site's not exactly in the Time Check neighborhood, it's right next door.
It's not as if we're putting it, a long way away. And I think eventually this will all work out.
I think we're in a good position right now, and I'm feeling like we can meet that deadline.
The recent ice jam flooding raised a question about building at the edge of the park. But while floodwater did cover some of what's planned as the parking lot, the water, even in June of 2008, never got to where the building itself would go.
Now, the Cedar Rapids City Council is going to have to vote as a whole on this site selection before they send it on to FEMA for approval. But since the majority of the council is actually already on that site committee, the members didn't seem to think it would be really that much of a problem. Live in Cedar Rapids, Dave Franzman, KCRG TV9 News.